it was a struggle. Like there's just no other word for it. Minimum wage was doing the minimum wage. There was no way to survive off of that. But I was just taking those small steps every day. It's your path, your journey for a reason, and you're meant to do it.
What up, sis? Meet our sister, Alesia Carter. She is an influencer, a mother, and the founder of Cosmic Tarot. This woman's journey is so resilient. From living in a small town and being a single mother at an early age, she had big dreams for herself. She manifested the life that she desired. Yes, it came with challenges, but her belief kept her strong. I live in a state of gratitude and trust the timing of my life. Let's get into it.
What up, sis? What is up? What is up? What is up? I am back with a new episode of Girl, We Got This with this incredible woman. Her name is Alesia Carter. She's an influencer. She's a mother.
Yes.
And she's a boss. She's a tarot reader as well. And I'm really excited to hear her journey. If you're on the social media, I know you've seen her face. You've seen her face. You've seen her post. You've seen her style. You've seen her at that festival. Like, you've seen her. I've seen her. I'm really excited to dive into the story and get into it. So we're jumping in.
Awesome.
Where are you from, Alesia?
Happy to be here.
Yes, thank you for coming.
So I was born in Brooklyn, New York.
Okay.
That's where my family is from. And we moved from there when I was about 5 years old to Minnesota. Okay. So I grew up in St. Paul, which is the Twin Cities. Very small area.
How was that changed from Brooklyn to Minnesota? Do you remember?
I don't remember much from Brooklyn. Yeah. I only remember times like we would go out there for the summer and the holidays to visit family, like as I grew older, but I don't remember a whole lot from like when I was 5. Yes. But so all I really knew was Midwestern life, which is so much more smaller compared to like LA, obviously. So yeah, I loved it though. I loved growing up there just because with those Midwestern roots, you learn how to be humble and very grounded. So I love like that grounded energy. While I didn't have like the best like childhood, like family dynamic, I still loved just like being in Minnesota because it's just really how I flourished and how I discovered the things that I was passionate about, which is creative. Anything creative in writing. I started like when I was like 6 years old. I started writing and so it was always pursuing creative art and music. So
do you think that was your outlet?
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, I don't ever honestly truly feel that a lot of us come from a functional family system. Right? And I feel like we realize that after we're adults too, like maybe that wasn't the best, but we're grateful and it created us to heal and do the things that we need to do. Yeah. Do you feel like that art was your therapy in those times in your youth?
It was my only outlet. Reading, getting lost in books. I have a very active imagination. So having that as a kid just saved me because it was like I can jump into someone else's story in a book and escape like this world that I'm in that I'm not feeling the greatest about. And as you're a kid, you're just trying to figure out what those emotions are that you're feeling and like why you always feel like an outsider. I always felt like an outsider, even with friends. It was like I never felt like I belonged anywhere. Yes. But when I read a book, I felt like I belonged. Or when I wrote a story, I felt like I belonged there. So it was just an incredible outlet for me.
Did you read Goosebumps?
Goosebumps, yes, and the Babysitter's
Club. I read every book.
Every single one. Every single one.
I felt the same way. I never felt seen or accepted, even in schools. Yeah. And reading was my escape.
Yeah, same. Wow. Same. So my mom's Puerto Rican, my dad's Black. Okay. And even as like a mixed Blacktina, it was just all very like, where do I belong? Where do I fit in? And in Minnesota, it's mostly Caucasian people. So it's like also like, wow, I'm surrounded by not a lot of diversity, not a lot of people that look like me. Right. So books, writing, films, seeing people that look like me in a film. It was really just my outlet. It was just escaping into another world. It's just how I survived.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, that's what we do as children. We don't even know we're doing it. Yeah. But we're doing it. Yeah. So take me through Minnesota. When were you able to find Alesia?
No, honestly, I don't feel like I really did in Minnesota, which is interesting. It's like it set the tone for like what my future would look like. Yes. but it was never like very, very super clear to me. I always thought, first of all, that I would be a singer-songwriter in the music business because I loved writing. I loved writing poetry, lyrics. And I thought that was my trajectory. But it just didn't end up that way.
Wow.
I ended up, after high school, I went to college, and I had my son in my first year in college. So it was like, oh, I'm a mom now, and just trying to figure that out. And that was a whole other struggle that was introduced to me after a pretty tumultuous childhood.
Yes.
So, you know.
How did you navigate that?
It was tough. I didn't.
Yeah.
like I had my son right before my 19th birthday. We're like 3 weeks apart. So it's just us growing up together, really.
Yes.
And kind of unfortunately at the same time, because there's just so much I didn't know. Like I didn't have like that internal mother instinct, I want to say.
Yes. You were a kid.
Yeah, exactly. I was a kid that just had a kid.
Yes.
So I didn't have like a mom that was actively there for me and emotionally supportive for me. And my dad wasn't really around a lot. So it was just navigating this new journey essentially alone. It felt like, even though I had like little pockets of family here and there, it just still felt like I was alone.
Wow.
So just, it was a struggle. Like there's just no other word for it. It was a struggle.
You know, my mom had me at 17. So I understand. I'm on the other side, right?
Yeah.
So you're still learning who you are.
Exactly. I was still learning.
And now you have this title as a mother and figuring this out and navigating, and you're in college. I'm sure you had dreams and goals and aspirations, and now you have a baby. How did this change your life?
So after I had my son, I dropped out after my first year because I had to start working full time. I became a single mom because his dad left us when he was about 3 weeks old. So I was just trying to navigate how I do this alone. It was just very different territory, obviously, because it was a lot of sacrifices. Like, okay, well, can't finish college right now. Can't pursue music like I wanted to. Couldn't pursue even like my creative outlets and hobbies that I wanted because I had to get into that masculine energy of, you know, trying to balance that in the feminine energy, but it was always the masculine energy that took over.
Yeah.
Like, I have a responsibility. I have to work. I have to pay bills. We need to survive. So
did you feel like it was survivor mode?
Definitely.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yes.
It was just survival mode for a very long time, honestly.
So many of us have been in this survival mode era.
Yeah.
Like, it is okay. It is a part. And I feel like once you're in it, it feels like it's never going to end. It feels like the weight of the world is on you.
Yeah.
And you're just trying to get like to the next step.
Yes.
But just, it will clear. This is just a phase and this is just temporary.
Yeah.
So when did you start feeling that? Like, when did you start getting like the motherhood steppings? Like, when were you like, okay, I'm working, I got this. Like, when did you start getting your footing?
You know, it was really off and on.
Yeah.
I would go through this phase of like, okay, I have a job, I have a roof over our head, I can pay the bills, but then there would be like some unexpected like shift, something that would happen. It's like taking me out of that. And just really just trying to figure out at the same time like who I am.
Yes.
Because I came from a very strict family, so I didn't have like freedom. I just felt always restricted. And then it also felt like now I felt restricted as like a parent because I was doing it on my own and I couldn't do like the things that I wanted to do, like hang out with friends and like really enjoy like my 20s.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just felt like a lot of unexpected shifts here and there. Like I would get my holding, I would be good, but then something else would happen and then I would lose that. And then at one point I moved to Washington State where I met someone and then I had my second son. So, and that was Trey was my oldest, Trey. He was about 2.5 at the time, but then it didn't work out with that particular person. So he essentially abandoned me when I was pregnant.
Wow,
and
I'm so sorry.
At one point we were literally living in a shelter when I was like 7-ish months pregnant and just trying to figure out, okay, I need to be working. I need to be doing something to take care of my kids. So that was just like a new avenue that I had to navigate. And So yeah, it's just, like I said, it's always been okay. I get my holding, but then like something unexpected happened. And I'm sure it has a lot to do with like very poor choices that I made, obviously. And I embrace that and accept that. But,
it's a part of our life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like we're not taught these things.
Yeah.
We're
like
doing
learning
this,
as you go.
Yeah. So we're learning as we go.
Yeah.
And clearly, you knew, I feel like there was more. You wanted more for yourself, and you weren't going to stop.
Yeah.
The resiliency in a woman, I feel like, truly comes full throttle when you're a mother.
Yes.
And y'all will do whatever it takes for us.
Yeah.
And I thank you for that
and
for your boys. And I'm so grateful that they have you.
Yeah.
In this moment when you were in the shelter, how did you feel? Did you feel safe? Did you feel like, okay, I gotta do something? Like, what was that feeling like? Because I know there's a lot of women that have probably faced this.
Yeah.
And that have probably like felt shame around this, that probably felt like not enough.
Yeah.
But when I'm looking at you, I'm like, no, you had to. Mm-hmm. This is exactly where you're supposed to be.
Right. It's when I've gone through these circumstances, I've always accepted it as part of my story. Yes. Like I never felt shame around it because it was like, I needed help.
Yes.
Like I have a 2-year-old and then I'm pregnant. Like I need assistance. So I've never been afraid to tap into resources where I've needed that help. I'm thankful that I've always been very resourceful. So I'm a very resourceful person.
Yes.
So like when I need the help, I can find it and I look for it. And there's no shame for me in that when you need like that little boost and assistance.
I love that about you.
So it's just, if anything, it's like, okay, this is temporary. Now I need to figure out next steps. So I'm always been very good about figuring out next steps as well. And I know the universe has a role in that as well. Because like when I put in the work and I take the steps, the universe meets me halfway. Yes. So it's like these miracles happen. It's like, oh, suddenly now I'm no longer in the shelter. Yes. I have an apartment now.
Yes.
So
let's talk about that miracle.
Yeah.
Tell me about this.
I ended up getting an apartment. So like I said, I'm very resourceful. I always look for like apartments for free month, like a month free, like no deposits or a minimal deposit. Yeah. So I'm like, so I think smart. Yeah. So yeah, we were only in a shelter for like maybe a month-ish. And then I was able to find an apartment at a great deal. But still, like with work, I was working somewhere that was a bit stressful and I wasn't getting paid a lot. I was getting like $8 an hour. Like this was back in 2005. Yeah. So this was like, minimum wage was doing the minimum wage. Literally. There was no way to survive off of that. And honestly, I don't know how I did it.
But you did it.
Yeah.
You did it and you raised like 2 sons.
Stop. Yeah. Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
I hope you take that because like that ain't even like, that's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. But eventually I just ended up moving back to Minnesota, like maybe a couple months later, because I couldn't survive out there on my own. Like I knew, like it got to the point where it was like, I can't do this anymore. And having to make that phone call to my parents, like I need help. So I'm a Leo. So like I try to like, I carry a lot on my shoulders. Yes. So because I can do it. But then sometimes you can't do it all. Yes. And that's okay too.
Yes.
So I ended up back in Minnesota for a couple more years and eventually got my footing. I started like a daycare business. I was like, I want to be at home. So I started like a home daycare for a while and did that for some time. Yeah. And then I was like, okay, well now I want a job, like a consistent one. And that's when I ventured into real estate, got a real estate job and I learned so much from that position.
Yes.
And I think that really helped set me up to be able to move out here.
Interesting.
And it is very interesting. Yeah. I never thought like, real estate. But
how did that come to you?
It was one of those things with the universe, kind of like presenting the opportunity and then just taking hold of it. And I learned so much in that professional settings. I never had like a professional setting like that.
Right.
And it just built my character. And I learned that I was good at a lot of things, like being analytical and detail oriented, like reading contracts and just putting my skills to the test and like, oh wow, I'm strong in that area and like figuring all these things out about myself that I didn't realize that I had. So yeah, it was very interesting.
You grew a lot in that space. And who would have thought?
I would.
But you trust.
Yeah.
You trust.
I trust the universe. Yeah.
And that is a powerful attribute to have. Because we sometimes like to fight it
be so fearful that you're afraid to make any kind of move. Yes. So you kind of get stuck and stagnant, which I find a lot of people do.
How did you learn how to trust? What was it? How did you always know, Alesia, like, I'm going to be okay. Like, I'm good. How?
I don't know. I think it was just embedded in me. And I think I've always just been I know I've always been intuitive, but I didn't realize it was my intuition and just having that faith in the universe and in God. My grandmother introduced me to spirituality at a very young age. So I think just always having that to grasp onto, like that hope, knowing that there's so much better for me out there, and knowing that I was meant for something bigger and better than my circumstances, and knowing that those circumstances, like those obstacles, were temporary, you know? So I've always been a dreamer, really. That's literally it. Like, I've just always been a dreamer. Like, I know something's out there for me. I'm meant to do something bigger and better. Like when I think I was maybe 10 years old, probably a little bit younger. And I'd like declare, like, I'm going to move to California one day because I have something big that I'm supposed to be doing. I had never been to California, mind you. Like, I only saw it in the shows and movies. But I just knew something was out here for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
And here she is.
Always knew. And here I am.
Here she is. California. So real estate, Minnesota, you get back on your feet.
Yeah.
How did you get to LA?
So I had been at the real estate job for about a year and a half, and I was doing really well though. I was excelling. Like, I started out as like a coordinator and then eventually became an office manager. So there was a lot of room for growth because it was a very small company. But again, like, it really strengthened me and my skills. But after about a year and a half, because they were so small, like, they couldn't afford to keep me. So I was laid off, and it actually happened just at the perfect time because a month prior, for my birthday, I came out to California for the weekend, and I instantly knew this feels like home. I'm supposed to be here. Like, I always knew that I was supposed to be out here. So when I came back from that trip, I was like, okay, I'm moving to California. I want to start saving my money, getting it together. And then the universe is like, well, we're ready for you to go now. So I got laid off like literally a month later from my job. And at that point, I was like afraid because like, well, I can't move to California. Like, I don't have any money. Like, I can't just like up and leave. So I was starting to look for a new job in Minnesota. But I was like, if I stay out here and look for another job, I'm just going to be stuck in like in this comfort zone. It's like a security blanket.
Right.
So I was like, I might as well just go. So I just packed up everything and left. But of course, before I left, I was smart, again, very resourceful. I was looking for jobs in California. So I just switched. Started looking for a job in California, flew out here for interviews, got hired on the spot for a job, which is real estate. So that's where it's like my skills came into play. I got hired on the spot, came back out to Minnesota, packed up, and then came back to California 2 weeks later to start my new job.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So you knew you were coming here.
I knew. I was determined to make it work.
Made a plan and execute.
Yes. I came out here with $1,500 in my pocket. Again, resourceful, found an apartment that had free rent for the first month. Low deposit, like a $200 deposit. I was like, okay, I can do that. So, yeah. Came out here with $1,500 and was working in real estate for a long time. And at the same time, I was like, okay, I want to pursue my goals, my creative like pursuits, because I was like in the back of my mind. And before all this, I was still doing like little things here and there. So at the time I wanted a clothing line. So I started doing little things here and there. Like, okay, well, I can think of a business name. I can think of things that I want to sell. I can think of design. So I was like, draw designs. I really love like graphic design. So I was like just design different things here and there. Just small steps every day to lead towards like the bigger goal. So when you're making those small steps, even if it's like something that you know is kind of far off, like those small steps add up eventually. Over time. So I knew that I was leading up to that. So, and I was always just trying to manifest it. Like, I'm going to do this. Like, this is like the sweatshirt that I want to design. This is like what I want to wear. Like this, you know, so it was always like in the back of my mind. So always manifesting in the back of my mind, speaking it out to the universe. I like to talk to myself. So I'm always manifesting in some way.
I think that's powerful. Our tongue is powerful.
Yeah, it is.
What we speak will come.
Mm-hmm.
It's so important to be so aware of what we're speaking into this world.
Yeah.
But my question is, I'm like in awe of your story because you're a single mother still doing all of this. Yeah. How, Alesia?
You don't have a choice.
How do you do it? I know, but how?
You just have to make it work. Like it's when you have 2 kids depending on you, like you don't have any other option. It's like do or die. It's like you have to just step up. And unfortunately that comes like with a lot of trauma. Cause like when you're stuck in that masculine energy, that's like you become hyper independent.
Yes.
So I was hyper independent for a very, very long time. And honestly, I didn't even know that I was suffering from trauma until like couple of years ago, honestly. It's like, oh my gosh, like that was trauma, everything that I've been through. A lot of us women deal with that. We harden, we become hyper independent. We think we can do everything. The world's on our shoulders. Yeah. It wasn't until I talked to a therapist, a psychotherapist at that. And I was with her twice a week at one point because I was like, this is not my life. And it's not. It was just old wounds and traumas I had to uncover. Yes, exactly. And also a lot of it is believing that there was just something better for me. Like this was not going to be my story. Like this struggle was not going to determine where I would be, where I would go. So I didn't fall into like a mindset of like, oh, I'll never get here. Like I always had hope. I never doubted myself.
I love this. I love this, Leo.
I never doubted myself, ever. Never. So it was like, I know there's something bigger out there for me. Like I'm supposed to be getting somewhere. So it's just taking those little steps each day. And sometimes having to make sacrifices too. Like I worked a 9-to-5, the corporate world. I was in that world for a very long time. So I knew that I wouldn't always be there though. I was like, okay, sometimes you got to just, make the sacrifices. Yes. And there's this quote that I like, I heard Will Smith say, it's like, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. So I always made sure that I stayed ready. So any plans that I had for what I wanted to pursue, which is like my clothing line, that I was just taking those small steps every day to get there. Yeah.
That is so dope. So did the clothing line come with the influencer route? How did that happen?
Yes.
Because that makes sense to me.
Yeah. So I moved out here in 2010. And it wasn't until about 2014 when I decided to become an influencer. Really, at the time, it was like blogger.
Yes.
So I launched my clothing line, and I was like, well, I've got to figure out a way to like get people to wear this stuff. And one thing I noticed when I came out here is like everyone was taking photos, and I was like very confused about it because no one in Minnesota was doing this. I had no idea like this existed. People taking photos of their food, their outfits, and I just found it very intriguing. So it's like, well, I love photography, I love writing, so I could just, and I love fashion, so I could just mesh all those worlds together to create a blog. So I started a blog and I put myself out there on social media, even though at the time on Instagram, like I did not like social media, but I knew that I needed it as a means to connect with other people and the community. Tool. Yeah. So I just put myself out there and I was like, okay, well, I'll become a blogger because I was hanging out with bloggers and they were doing it. And I was like, okay, I might as well. So it was like a happy accident. I never thought that I would be a blogger or influencer. That was like not a part of the plan. So it just fell into my lap and it was pretty amazing because I started to see success pretty quickly. Yes. Like working with different brands at the time and pretty major brands like Rebecca Minkoff was pretty popular at the time. And I did some work with Burberry and it was just like all these pieces of the puzzle just kind of falling into my lap. Wow. So I knew like, okay, well, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So it felt great to be able to inspire people with fashion and to be able to write and just have that creative pursuit with photography and being able to do like design and just meshing all those worlds together. So it felt good.
Yeah, because it's
and obviously it was meant to be. So.
Yeah, like it's all like, all your creative feats in one.
Yes, exactly.
They all came together.
Yeah,
because you have the organization, you have the skills, you have everything from the real estate job, and then you got to put it into you and add your creativity.
Yes, exactly.
Your writing, the blogging, the captions, the photography, your clothing line.
Yeah.
Did you have any challenges in the blogger world?
Honestly, the only challenge is trying to get people to see you and value you. It's a lot harder when you're a woman of color.
Yes.
To be in the blogging world because you're not getting paid as much as your counterpart.
Yes.
So getting people to see you and also to pay you, that's another thing, to even pay you. But I paid my dues. It's like I knew that I had to do a lot of free work to be able to get my foot in the door, to be able to make the content. So I did that for a while. But then at some point you have to recognize your value and then you start asking for payment. So yeah, it's just getting people to just really value you in that instance. In that sense, I mean, to be able to be like, okay, she's worth paying, even though even then it's still not comparable to what your counterpart is getting paid.
Yes.
So, that was really the only challenge that I saw.
Do you still feel like that still occurs? Because I have a friend. Yes, I have a friend. Shout out to you, Sherelle. She works in sponsorships and collaborations for specifically Black creators because she worked behind the scenes of big brands and she saw the differences of pay and rates that they were offering Black creators versus Caucasian creators.
Yes. Yeah.
It blew my mind when she told me these numbers. She was like, this is why. And she said, before you get any sponsorship, anything, come to me and I'll let you know if it's something you should take or not.
Yeah.
Because it's still a thing.
It is. Unfortunately, it is.
Yeah.
That's why during 2020, during like the George Floyd protests, there's so much being uncovered regards to that. Like Black women, Black influencers just not being seen, not being heard, not being recognized. And it almost looked like there was going to be a turnaround because all these brands started making pledges about wanting to expand and have more diversity and diversity and inclusion. And that was actually during the time when I got signed to my first management company, but it was only really because everyone's feeling guilty for not having enough Black influencers on their roster and being like, oh, wait, we don't have diversity here.
Hello.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, it still happens. It's still prevalent. Even till this day, I've been doing this since 2010, like almost 14 years.
Yeah.
I started fall 2010. I still get people that approach me asking me to work for free for like minimal product value.
You're so established. Your reach.
Yeah, exactly.
Your value.
Yeah.
Your face.
And I've worked with some pretty major brands. Like I've done work with like PayPal. I've done work with Nike.
Yes.
I've done the work. I've put in a lot of dues.
You don't even need to explain yourself, sis.
Like I've worked with a lot of brands. So, which is very fortunate. I'm so blessed and privileged in that regard. So yeah, it's still very prevalent today. And, over the past year, I've been really feeling like, is this space really where I want to be still? And just kind of feeling a bit lost about how I want to execute my next steps and what that looks like to me. Because at some point you kind of get tired of the same thing, like the same content. Like I'm not inspiring anyone with a $5,000 bag. Like I don't want to influence you to buy a bag. Like that's not doing you any good. And it just feels so superficial. Like there's no substance, there's no depth, and it's a facade, really. To be very honest with you, it's definitely a facade because no one wants to show their emotions. No one wants to talk about like our everyday pain points. And I know everyone's struggling out there in some kind of way, but if you go online, you don't really see that. You see, oh, this is my daily routine. This is what I did in a day. And that's great. There's, if influencers want to stay in that realm of kind of disregarding the real world and just having this very like cohesive mask of like how they want to execute their content, that's fine.
Yeah.
For me, it just doesn't sit right with me. Like I don't feel comfortable and like I don't really post anymore because it's like this is no longer feels relevant to me because I'm not connecting to that world as much as I used to. But I know I want to use my platform for good. I want to use my platform to make a difference.
Yes.
And to inspire people to do something in their communities, to help other people, not to just like buy a bag or buy a shoe. Like, I love fashion, obviously. I'm still, I still love the fashion. I still like nice things. For so long, I didn't have nice things. Like I barely had a bed for half of my life. So it's, you know, I want to enjoy the nice things, but also I want to help people and inspire people. So that's what led to my new journey.
Yes. Tell us about it.
Journey.
I love a spiritual journey, girlie.
Yeah.
This is when you come into her.
Yeah.
This is when you really start to understand, okay, I've had all the nice things. I've had the money. I've had the bags. I took the pictures. You guys know me. But there's so much more to me. But you have to uncover it. I lived this life.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, girl, all my bags sit in my closet. That shit don't do nothing for me. I still be crying. I'm still very emotional.
Sad,
I still get depressed. A Chanel bag doesn't change my life.
No.
But I had to learn that. Yeah. Because until you get to experience it intangible and like in real life, you understand like this does nothing for me.
Yeah.
So tell me about this new journey you're on. Tell me about it.
So
tarot.
Yeah. So last year, well, really, it's kind of this goes back to like pre-COVID. Trying to figure out where do I even begin. So I was just at a point really where things were just, it's like, I'm not feeling connected to the influence world. This has been like going on for like a couple years actually. And at the time I was having a difficult time with my oldest son because he has ADHD and there's just all these other things that stemmed from it when he was in school, like depression, anxiety, oppositional defiance disorder. So like having to just shift my focus from like the influencer world to like really being fully present with my son and going through that journey with him and helping him navigate that. He's a lot better now. He's so much better now. He's thriving, actually. He's talking about moving out. And I'm like, okay.
I'm so happy he's doing well.
Yeah. He's thriving now.
Yeah.
Pre-COVID, a couple months prior to COVID, I was dating someone and it was this very strong connection, but it was very toxic. And I was trying to figure out, what does this mean? Like, why do I feel so connected to this person? Like, what is this? And one day I just randomly came across this girl who, on Twitter, she tweeted, because I was always into horoscopes and astrology, but it didn't go beyond that. Yeah. She tweeted a horoscope, but then she also tweeted something about a tarot reading on YouTube. So I clicked on it and I watched a YouTube video and she did a tarot reading and it was general, but I instantly felt connected to it. It was like, this sounds like my story. Like this resonates with me. So that heartache and that heartbreak that I was feeling, connecting it to tarot, but also for me it was like spirituality. Yes. Tarot is spirituality to me. It just felt like it was this missing piece of the puzzle that I was waiting to discover. So I just started watching more YouTube videos of tarot readings. And I was just so intrigued by it that I bought my first tarot deck. And then I started studying tarot. And I started studying more about astrology. And then just looking at my birth chart and realizing, oh my gosh, this makes so much sense. Like why I've experienced these things. And it also explains like my traits and my qualities and my characteristics. And like why I do things the way that I do. And why things happened a certain way. And it just all started to make sense. And I just went down a rabbit hole of like tarot, astrology,
learning,
just
the
learning.
depths.
Yes, exactly. So it's like, they say the dark night of the soul. It was like one of those things.
Yes, I know that very well.
And just needing to finally disconnect from the person that I was just like in this agony over. So really like tarot saved me in that regard. Because I probably would have stayed longer in that situation than I should have. But I just started connecting all these dots like, oh, this is just a lesson. Like these are lessons I'm supposed to be learning. And then I thought I was always healing, but I did not know I wasn't. Like this whole time I thought I was healing and doing fine. Yeah. But I just really got into this dark place where I was like, no, I haven't been healing. Like I've been putting it off all this time because it was like, I need to be a mom first. I need to work first. Like it was those things that always came first, but not tending to like what was going on the inside. Yeah. Like why do I attract certain things? And why do I seem to experience the same things? And it was like, oh, I have not healed. So I'm grateful for the time of COVID. I know it was horrible and there's a lot of things that happened that was just very unfortunate, but it really opened my eyes to just this other world that I had not tapped into, which was my spirituality. Like it was a spiritual reawakening.
Yes. The awareness.
Yeah. I just reached this level of consciousness where I was like, oh, wow, this is a lot. And just doing the shadow work.
Yes.
Started doing the shadow work and started getting back into writing. So I stopped writing for a very long time. So I started journaling again and writing again and manifesting and being like, no, I don't want to feel this anymore. I want a new story. So I essentially was writing my new story. I was writing my new story, literally. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you were ready for this new part of your journey.
Yes. And even over the past couple of years, this was 2020, I didn't know what I wanted to do with tarot. Like I didn't talk to anyone about it because I thought people would think I was weird because it's something that a lot of people don't understand. They associate it with like dark energy, black magic, like, but it's not. It's literally just like energy. It's just energy.
Everything is just energy.
Yeah, it is. Everything is energy.
Literally everything.
Everything. So I didn't talk to anyone about it. I really, really didn't. But I continued to do the work. And my friend, I call her my soul sister, Evelyn. I love you, Evelyn.
We love you, Evelyn.
Yes, we love Evelyn. She started this nonprofit organization called Hike Club, where it's an organization that provides opportunities and experiences to women of color to get out into nature and to heal.
Wow.
So I started going to her events, like going on the hikes, and she does all these amazing things.
So dope.
Yeah, it's amazing. She's a lot of partnerships and sponsorships that she gets from these amazing companies that help her put these things together for people. Because it's all about access. It's accessibility, like taking up space. Like you don't see a lot of Black women in nature, period. Yes. So for her, it's really important that people see us out there and taking up space. And like, we belong here too. We can be on this hike trail too.
We like this too.
Yeah, we like this too. Like we have a right to this as well. So I started going on more and more of the hikes and the trips that she was planning. And she really introduced me to community. That was like my real first sense of community and being a part of community where everyone has similar stories and we're all healing, we're all going through something, and just how good that feels. So as someone who is very hyper independent and always wanted to be alone, that felt like I couldn't depend on anyone, that felt like I couldn't trust anyone, it really healed that community aspect for me.
Wow. Yeah. That's so special.
It is.
That's so special.
Because I never thought I needed anyone. So I was like, I got this. I'm fine on my own. But opening that up just opened up like this piece in my heart of like, okay, I don't have to do this on my own. I can help inspire people in other ways, which I always knew I wanted to inspire people. I just didn't know how to do it exactly. I didn't think it would be community focused, honestly. So I started being more heavily involved in Hike Club. And last February, we went on a trip to Mammoth Mountain. So this is like part of the stuff that she gets us doing. I would not be doing this if it was for her. She has me skiing and snowboarding, and I would not otherwise do this, even though I grew up in Minnesota where it should be like the normal, but it was not the norm for me. So we were on this trip, and on the last night, we all gathered in her room, and we were just having a good time talking. You know, when we get together, we get deep into talking about topics. And she mentioned something about tarot cards. And I didn't know she was into tarot. So again, I never told anyone that I was into tarot at all. It was like my little secret, something I did in private. And I was like, I have my tarot cards in my bag. And she's like, you should do readings for everyone. And I was like, I have never done readings for other people. So I took out my tarot cards and I started doing readings. I was like, okay. And it was just instant connection. Yeah. It was like something I felt like I had always done it, even though it was the first time I did it in this lifetime at least. And I just felt this instant connection. I was picking up on people's energy, picking up on their stories. Like literally their story was in the cards and I could see it so clearly. And it was very powerful. And it just felt so good to be able to tell people there's something on this other side of fear. Like, yes. I see it in the energy for you. Like, you're afraid right now because people can't see what's beyond.
Right.
And that's normal. We don't know what's next.
Yes.
But I was able to reassure all of them, like, there's something on the other side of this. Like, there's a solution.
We need that.
Yeah.
We need hope.
The reassurance, the hope. We need
yes.
the hope. We need the hope.
I'm so grateful that you found Evelyn in this lifetime.
Same, because
honestly,
I met her in 2015. So I've known her pretty much the entire time I've been out here. Or maybe it was 2016. I think it was like late 2015. And we met through mutual friends. And it was just like a happy accident. One of those things where if I would have never entered the influencer world, I would have never met these friends that would have introduced me to her.
Yes.
So it's like we're all interconnected in that way. It's like you never know where your journey would lead, or a certain person that introduces you to someone else that's meant to be in your life. And we've always been like connected by a string, I feel like. That's why I call her my soul sister. Because I know that we've always been connected in some kind of way.
Yes.
And she's really been a part of my story, especially the past couple of years. I never thought that our friendship would lead to what we've been able to create.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Deep woman sisterly relationships will change your life.
Yeah.
When you're seen by your sister, it's a different type of support. It's a different type of energy. It's like you feel unstoppable.
Yeah.
When you know a woman's got your back, like you got your back, honestly, I always feel unstoppable.
Yeah.
Because that's all you need is community and support.
Yeah.
And for someone to tell you to keep going, take out your tarot cards. Come on.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, come on, start reading. You know what I mean? And look.
She's definitely the pusher.
Look, look, but she sees you.
Yeah, she does. Yeah.
She sees you and she knows that. And we all need that person in our life. We can be that for ourselves, but I believe
you
that
go so far with it. I always thought that I didn't need, because I never really had female friendships in that regard.
A lot of us haven't.
Never had it.
Yes.
So she's introduced me to that space of being able to have those friendships and to know that it's okay to have it too. I always felt like people let me down or like, oh, she's not really like looking out for me. But Evelyn's a real one.
I love the trust.
She's a real one.
It's trust.
Yeah, it's trust.
It's trust. And now you're trusting in life and you're entrusting in this friendship. And I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
For this journey. So tell me now, you created your own tarot cards and it's alive. It's rebirthed. Alesia is rebirthing.
Yeah,
literally.
Literally is a rebirth. So at the time of the trip, I was feeling a bit lost. I did not know what I wanted to do with my platform, but I knew I wanted to do something. So yeah, she encouraged me. She's like, you need to, like, as we were leaving, like we were on the van coming back, she's like, you have to do something with this. It's like, okay. like you just need that one person that sees you and has that hope and faith in you.
Yes.
And for me, that was her. And when I came home, I started thinking of the ideas, like, okay, how do I want to execute this? I knew I wanted to do something with tarot. It just was not clear to me yet. I had no idea what I wanted to do with it. But it was like, it needs to be community focused. Like, yeah, I can do readings for people and stay in like this little bubble, but that's helping people in one sense, but is it really helping more people at the same time? So I knew I wanted a community aspect in regards to my company. So I created Cosmic Tarot. I launched my website last May. And
congratulations.
Thank you. And even then, I was still like kind of like behind the scenes with it. Like some people know, but a lot of people don't. Like my platform did not know. And then again, Evelyn, she had a retreat in Palm Springs for Hike Club, and she was like, I want you to do tarot readings. So that was like my hard launch into the world. I was like, okay, I have to fully embrace this now. Like I can't keep hiding.
Yes,
so,
yes, it's
like,
time.
It's time. It's time. So that was definitely like the confirmation. That trip was the confirmation I needed to like what I'm doing makes a difference, and I'm affecting people in the most positive, beautiful way. People need this, and I need to be able to do it in the way that reaches more people. Wow. So the 3 days we were out there, well, 2.5 days, I was just doing tarot readings the entire time, pretty much. And there's only supposed to be like short tarot readings, like 5 minutes, but I was doing like 45-minute readings for people, hour readings for people.
Because you love it.
Because I love it. And it was just flowing and the messages needed to be heard. And I could tell like everyone really needed that space to be able to like release, to be like, oh, someone sees me, someone understands me, they can see it. Because I can see it in the energy, which I'm very proud of.
Yes.
So I was like, I need a community aspect to this. So I started doing workshops. About 2 months later, I started doing workshops, the community journaling workshops. Again, combining my passion for writing and manifesting and this beautiful world of astrology and spirituality and tarot, and combining all those things together to create like the workshops of my dreams. So that's what I'm heavily focused on right now.
Congratulations.
Creating that space for people to come together and to know that they're not alone.
Yes.
And to be with like-minded people and to just come together and heal together, and just also providing the access and resources and tools to people that would not normally have it. So my workshops were heavily geared towards under-resourced communities, underprivileged communities, BIPOC individuals, and like, hey, come to this space.
Yes.
It's free. The workshops are free. Eventually I'll start charging for other ones, but I will always have free workshops for people because it's all about accessibility to me. Accessibility is so important to me. So I think back on the times when I didn't have much and I didn't have anything, but someone offering kindness and doing something for me just as a favor, like really was able to get me to where I needed to go and be. So I know providing free resources and tools is just so important right now. Wow, it really is.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Where can our audience find these workshops?
Yeah. So I post them on my Instagram, which is cosmictarot.club, and also my personal Instagram, Alesia Carter XO, but mainly cosmictarot.club. I'll post them on there, and they can grab a ticket on Eventbrite and look at my website, which is cosmictarot.club as well. And just stay in the loop. Because I'm planning so much for this year. And I'm really excited for what's to come. It's just opening up space and doors and creating a longer table for people to sit at. Yeah.
Sis, honestly, you sitting here, like, you're going to impact so many women with your story.
I hope so.
You're creating that table for women to be able to sit and listen to your story from where you come from to where you have been and to where you are going. Yeah. I am thankful that you took that time to heal yourself, to dig into Alesia, to be that mother, and to learn yourself through motherhood. Because I know that's not easy.
It's not.
I know it's not easy, and you did it, and you're still doing it.
Yeah, my kids definitely taught me structure. Yeah, structure and stability is like, need to get it together.
Yes, yes. But we're all a work in progress. Yeah, right. Yeah. And when you're a young mother, you're just throwing like you were a child. Yeah. So give yourself grace, and I'm proud of you.
Same.
You did it. You did it, and it's such a journey that you're on, and it's beautiful to see you owning your dark night. It's beautiful for you being reopened to friendships and relationships, and taking the dive, and saying this no longer serves me. I need to connect. Yeah. This Chanel bag is cute. Yeah. But like, I want something deeper in this lifetime. I want to experience something more. Yeah. I want to say thank you because your journey is going to inspire and impact so many other women that are on this journey, that are scared to leave the aesthetics, the mask. Because there's more to us.
There's so much more to us. And you'll know, like, if you have this like nagging feeling, there's something there for you to explore. And it was put into your heart for a reason. So I really feel like we need to tap into our gifts and the things that we really want. Even though other people aren't going to understand it, it's your path, your journey for a reason, and you're meant to do it because, again, like you say, like you're going to inspire someone else's story, like that gives someone else hope, and just got to embrace the changes. Like I love change, honestly. Like I love embracing changes and just opening myself up to new opportunities and not being in a space of being stuck and stagnant. Like I don't like stagnancy, like where I'm feeling I'm not growing. Yes. So I'm more than willing to like leave stuff behind that does not feel good to me. Yes. So yeah, I'm just learning how to put up those boundaries and be able to be like, no, that doesn't work for me. Like,
and owning it.
Yeah, and owning it, not being apologetic about it either. Like,
being
no,
okay.
that just doesn't work. It's not in alignment with me, and I'm not going to force something to fit that just doesn't
you don't
fit.
have to.
No, you don't. You do not have to do anything you don't want to do
at all. So with this being said, I wanna ask you a question before we close about you and your motherhood. If you were to look at a young Afro-Latina girl right now who is a young mother who has dreams, if you were to look at her right now, what would you tell her? What would you tell that young mother?
To keep going. Because sometimes you want to stop and you just want to give up. And, you know, I've had like those moments of like depression and just want to be like, you know what, I just want to give up maybe. But I didn't allow myself to do that. So you can't get stuck in that mindset of losing hope. You gotta always tap into that hope. And sometimes it's not gonna come from external circumstances. You gotta create that hope for yourself. So just keep going. There's so much on the other side that we can't see. And I think that's where people get stuck because they can't see beyond their circumstances right here, which is why I love tarot, because I can see the energy and I know that there's something so much bigger. And that was something that was always inside me as well, even though there are times I would feel a little bit down. So it's like timing. So I always think the one thing I thought about was like time, like how much longer do I have to go through this? Like how much longer, like when is it gonna come? So you have to just learn how to release and know that it's gonna find you at the right time.
Yes. Trust.
Yeah, you have to trust the universe and trust in yourself.
Yes.
And just have faith.
No.
You got to just have that faith and hope that it will get better. And it does.
Yes.
It does get better. It
you
really
have that
does.
gift. You have a gift of trust.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful
Grateful.
to hear. It's beautiful to know that you can trust and you will break through.
Yeah.
And you will find your passion and you can pivot. And you will move and you will still be a great woman.
Embrace the pivots.
Yes.
That's like my other advice. Embrace those pivots. Like you don't have to stay somewhere that's not making you happy or that's not serving you. So
I love this for you because I'm about to have you over to do some tarot. Okay? Because I love tarot. I have another good girlfriend. Maybe we can all hang out one day.
That would
Her
be
name
amazing.
is Yvonne, and she does tarot card reading as well.
I
And she's
love
so
it.
special. She has Akashic readings as well.
Oh, really?
So it's I learned a lot from her, and I really give you guys a lot of credit because it's a lot of energy that you guys have to have the capacity for.
Exchange, yeah.
And I know it's exhausting, but it's also your joy and your reason and your purpose. So thank you for giving us your energy.
Thank you.
And having the capacity to hold space for all of us that you do serve.
Thank you.
And with that being said, sis, we've given you your flowers. We want to give you your flowers this beautiful special month.
Thank you.
Nona Washington created these beautiful bouquets for us of mixed girls flowers.
Thank you.
You deserve it. You deserve your
appreciate it. This is
flowers
gorgeous.
every day. Thank you.
you.
And I am excited to see how Cosmic Tarot unfolds.
Me too.
We already know it's going to explode.
I'm excited, but you know, when you're doing something new, there's always like those nerves as
That's
well.
natural.
Like,
Yep.
so I'm excited, but also like, oh gosh, where is this going to take me? I'm open to it though.
Yes.
So we'll
But
see.
that's you.
Yeah.
You're open. That's you and you
I'm open.
trust.
Yeah.
So I already
Yeah.
know it's going to do great.
Yeah.
It's coming. It's on its
It
way
is.
to you.
It's already
Yeah.
on the way.
I'm so proud of
believe
you
it.
and I thank you for sharing your
Thank
story.
you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Honestly,